All right, so welcome back to the comic log. I will be sharing with you guys everything that I read within the month of April. Honestly, it was looking a little rough, but then within the last couple weeks, I read a lot on the Marvel Unlimited app because they had this promotion where I believe if you resubscribed, it was only $3 a month because of Daredevil Born Again. It took a while for it to work because it was just weird with my phone or whatever, but yeah, I've read a lot of comics with that 1 month thing that I did. I don't know if it's going to recharge me for $10 a month, but if it does, I'll maybe read more stuff on there. But anyways, before we get into that, let's talk about the ongoings that I have on my pull list, the ones I'm reading every single month. I'm not going to go too deep into these issues because I'm going to be honest, I don't remember a whole lot on some of these because they came out a while ago. But starting off first up, Daredevil #1 by Stephanie Phillips and Lee Garbett. I made a whole video on this. You want to check that out. But yeah, this is a great #1. Great jumping off point to anyone that wants to get into reading Daredevil. But I will always recommend Chip Zdarsky and Marco Checchetto's run on that character because I think that, especially if you watch the Netflix series, this was before Born Again came out. So there's some stuff within Born Again that is in that book that they take, obviously, from that comic into the show. But I still believe that Chip Zdarsky's run on that character is one of the best within the modern era. This is still a very, very good story, and I cannot wait to see what issue 2 has in store because that comes out later this week. Next book we have here is Absolute Batman. Obviously, this book is still killing it. I believe this one is the introduction of Scarecrow, or I believe that was the last issue. I forget exactly. But Scarecrow's in it, and then they also introduced the Robins, which is the next big thing that's going to happen within issue 20. So yeah, Absolute Batman continues to be awesome, and I think that if you're not reading this book, check it out. It's available on the DC Infinite app. It's also available in trade paperback form. There's literally a million ways to read this because DC knows that this book is hot. It's literally the top selling book every single week, every single month that it makes a appearance. And yeah, and it's not just because it's Batman. It's because Scott Snyder is an insane writer. Every single issue, especially this one, they feel so fast, but so much stuff happens. So I feel that there's never a dull moment within Absolute Batman. Next one we have here is number 50 for Batman Superman World's Finest. I've been reading this series for the past year or so and just catching up with it, and it's just a fun read. It takes place during the Silver Age, Golden Age of Batman and Superman, and a lot of the stories are kind of one-off stories. They're 3 to 4 issues long. Last episode that I talked about, I was I think I might drop it, but then they dropped this Elseworld story about what if Batman and Superman both worked together, but they were both evil. Ever since the beginning, they were just both evil characters. It was such an interesting concept, but they kind of bailed on it really, really fast. And I wish that they kind of expanded it upon it more. But with issue 50 around the corner, they got to, make a big old special out of it. And this issue is great. It's still awesome. It's nice to see Dan Moore back on the art. But, I believe he is currently working on Superman Prime or whatever, Superboy. I forget exactly what book that's called, but it's nice to see him back on the interiors. He's still doing the main covers, I believe, but still a great book. I'm still a little hesitant in terms of should I keep reading it, should I not? Because like I said, there's some issues that really pull me back in, and then there's others that I'm just it's whatever. So I was talking about Chip Zdarsky. He is currently at Marvel, and he is doing the Captain America run, and then he is doing the Avengers Armageddon event that is happening, which ties in with Captain America and this Wolverine miniseries. So both are great. I honestly love the fact that we got back-to-back Captain America issues week to week, which was kind of crazy. I guess they're on a pretty tight schedule between this and Armageddon and everything. But yeah, and then there was also that free comic book day issue with the Armageddon written by Zdarsky, which I have yet to read yet. But yeah, I am just, as a Chip Zdarsky enjoyer, I am eating very, very good. And I think Captain America is really finding its stride. This is my first time reading something of his that is week to week. I think when I was reading Daredevil, the fact that it was so bingeable and so much fun to read from issue to issue, I think I could get that vibe again if I were to go back and reread all of the issues of Captain America from 1 to 10 right now. And this book does play into the Wolverine because there is a character that is introduced within the Captain America books that makes an appearance in here. And we get a little bit more backstory, especially within issue 3. I believe this is issue 3. I want to say, yes, issue 3. It says issue 3 right there. I'm an idiot. But yeah, so far so good. I am loving what Zdarsky is doing with these characters, whether it's Captain America or Wolverine. Next up we got is Dan Watters' Nightwing. So if you guys were on last episode, you guys would know that I love Tom Taylor's run on Nightwing. So when it ended, I kind of waited a little bit before I hopped on Dan Watters. And Dan Watters is killing it. I'm going to be honest. Those first couple of arcs were very, very good. Now we're starting a new arc with a new artist doing the interiors. And it's good. I think that it is still like the same Nightwing stick where he's trying to do the right thing. There's a lot going on within Bloodhaven and sort of within his own personal life. But I definitely need to reread this book alongside the last issue that sort of kicked everything off. But yeah, Nightwing by Dan Watters, very, very good. I think this new arc can be interesting, but you know, right now it's just picking up steam. So it's a little bit slow. Next up we got is The Punisher. This is something that I am only picking up because of the John Bernthal cover. And then the last issue I picked up because of the Simone Di Meo cover. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. So I just picked up those two books because of the covers. And I already picked up issue 1. So I'm reading up to this point and then I'm stopping. But yeah, this is a very weird era of Punisher, which is why I went back and read a lot of the stuff on the Marvel Unlimited app. So y'all hear more about that in just a few minutes. But first I want to finish out my ongoings and sort of one-shots and trade paperbacks before I dive into that. Sonic the Hedgehog by IDW, once again, continues to be a fun read as a Sonic the Hedgehog fan. This one concludes the sort of arc that they have with... I forget her name. I'm so sorry. But yeah, you know, so far so good. I'm sure that there's going to be more shenanigans between Sonic and Eggman. Then there was one shot, the big one that came out this month, which is Spider-Man x Superman. I have the Mark Bagley foil variant here. So yeah, there were a couple of other variants that I wanted to buy, but I stuck with this one. And then I think the Sarah Pichelli one, and then obviously the main cover. But yeah, this one is a pretty good Spider-Man and Superman crossover, just like the DC one. I think they're both evenly matched because I think that the short stories are kind of even, and I think the main story, the first one within each book, are both evenly matched as well. I think the DC one is definitely a lot more well-rounded, but I think this one definitely has a much better like character study between Superman and Spider-Man. So there's definitely good things to like about both of them. But yeah, this one, still great, fantastic. And I hope that DC and Marvel do more crossovers. I think that this is such a great idea to just bring both of these superhero comic book giants together and just have their characters cross over. You know, there's definitely a lot more possibilities in terms of what can happen with their characters. Okay, let's talk about the trade paperbacks. Where do I begin? So this was a book that I started last month, but I didn't finish, which is Far Sector. This is my first time reading a DC compact as well, so I wasn't used to like the big page count. And you know, this is definitely a very, very good read. This is my first time reading anything Green Lantern. So there was not much that I needed to really know going into it. All I knew was that it's a very good story. The art is beautiful. I do wish that I did not get a DC Compact Edition because of it. You pretty much follow this new Green Lantern who is trying to figure out what's going on within this new galaxy, planet, universe. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but the planet kind of makes emotions and feelings outlawed. So when people are feeling stuff, it kind of becomes like a bad thing. And there's a lot of political stuff in here and a lot of sort of social commentary, which, you know, say what you will, that's what comic books are all about. They're supposed to, you know, bring us together and also show the world that, hey, you know, like some things that mirror fiction also mirror reality. And yeah, this is a very, very good start for me personally to go and get into Green Lantern. I definitely want to read some other stuff that feature the character, whether it is, I forget her name, Jo, or if it features Hal Jordan or any of the other Green Lantern characters. But yeah, I definitely want to get a much bigger version of this and try to read it front to back, because I think the compact edition, it's definitely a little harder to read just because it is so small, but also it doesn't allow me to appreciate the art as much as I would, even though when I'm reading on a phone, It's like a much smaller size, but I'll talk about, why I think digital books are a lot easier to read compared to physical books. But for our sector, very, very good. I think that if you are like me and are hesitant on terms of Green Lantern and like all that stuff, pick this up. It's only $10. That's like the beauty about DC Compact. So now that I know, if I ever see the hardcover or the sort of big oversized versions of this, I could pick it up. All right, so I want to talk about all of Kick-Ass, because this was like the first thing that I read after I finished the first volume from last month. So I dove into Kick-Ass 2, then I dove into, wait, this one is Hit Girl. This one's Hit Girl. So that kind of takes place in between Kick-Ass 1 and Kick-Ass 2, and then Kick-Ass 3. So if you're someone like me who watched the movies as a kid, when I definitely should not have, you might be like, well, why don't I just go and read Kick-Ass 3 and then go from there? Don't do that. The comic books take such a different direction, and there's so many different changes from the movie. It's been a while since I have watched the film, but I could just tell and remember that like there were a lot of different things that the book does that the film doesn't do, or the film does do and the book doesn't do, if that makes sense. So if you are going to read the Kick-Ass books, just start from the beginning. I mean, these trade paperbacks should be easy to find and should be pretty affordable. I got these years ago at Right Stuff Anime, if you could believe it or not, for like a really, really good deal. I think I got these for like $30 or $40 altogether, which is like $10 a piece, which, retail price, these are $17 apparently. So, saved a lot of money doing that. But yeah, Kick-Ass is a great book. It is a lot of fun. There might be some things that are a little racist and a little bit weird. Could just be the way Mark Millar wrote it, or maybe just the sign of the times back then that people didn't really care. But Kick-Ass is a lot of fun. And I think that if you want to read a indie book from something that you might have watched when you were younger, like me, I watched Kick-Ass when I was a kid. These books are fun. Okay, so because we were talking about Absolute Batman, I was like, let me go and read some old Scott Snyder Batman. So this is the Court of Owls Complete Saga or something like that, DC Essentials Edition. So the weird thing about this trade paperback is that it only has issues 1 through 11. And then if I want to continue reading this run, I would have to pick up volume 3, Death of the Family, not Death in the Family. But that one doesn't have issue 12 because issue 12 is in the trade paperback too. But for some reason, they didn't put issue 12 in here. They put a bunch of other stories featuring the Court of Owls, which honestly I did not read, because I was like, once I'm done with the main story, I kind of felt fulfilled. But the main story of the Court of Owls in terms of like their introduction, the reason why I bought this, by the way, I bought this years ago. I bought this when there was a rumor that Rocksteady was returning to the Batman Arkham series after they finished Arkham Knight, when they were going back to the Arkham series and they were going to adapt the Court of Owls. And I was like, that's a pretty new comic book story at the time. I was like, I kind of want to see what it was about. I bought it on eBay. I never read it until last month. So yeah, it starts off pretty slow. This is definitely Scott Snyder when he is still like finding his footing as a Batman writer, but also there's a lot more restrictions when he is writing like the main Batman story. He can't do all of like the crazy and insane things that obviously ended up being a net positive within Absolute Batman. So, he's a lot more restrictive in that regard. But here, the story takes a while to take off, but once it does, oh my god, man, I just could not stop reading it. It was so much fun just seeing how the Court of Owls sort of came to be and exactly what they mean in the grand scheme of Gotham. But yeah, very, very good. And then obviously, because I said I was missing that issue 12, thankfully my local comic book shop, Fourth World Comics, they had this sitting in their back issue bin. It is $5.50, and I did not mind paying that cover price, because if I were to buy it on eBay, probably be like $10 after shipping, which is like, it is what it is. But yeah, now I have this, and then once I read this, then I just have to buy the 3rd volume of the trade paperbacks, and then I think eventually I could get like the omnibus or something. So I'm not like double dipping or whatever. Anyways, Marvel Unlimited. So like I said at the beginning of this video, I subscribed to Marvel Unlimited again for $3 a month, and I read a bunch of books on the app. So I have my little notepad here of the books I did read. So I went back and I read The Punisher. The Punisher by Garth Ennis. Hopefully I pronounce his name right. This is the creator of The Boys, by the way, which I did not know. But he wrote The Punisher for a bit, for like a very, very long time. So the first series that he did, it was Welcome Back, Frank. This was issues 1 to 12. That was a very, very good series. These are not those issues. These are from the like ongoing series that he did afterwards, which is issues 1 to 37, which I did read also. But yeah, first up, Welcome Back, Frank. That series felt like a nice continuation from the Punisher Netflix series, as someone who has watched that show. And I'm not a big fan of season 2. I think season 2 of the Punisher was just doing a lot of weird stuff and like a lot of moving parts there, and like it just did not live up to the expectations or even the bar that was set within season 1. It was a little bit of a downgrade. But the Welcome Back, Frank sort of 12-issue series, that was great. It felt like a continuation of season 1, but also on top of that, I believe the Marvel special presentation featuring the Punisher is taking a lot of notes from that series. So I'm interested to see how the Nucci family is going to be adapted from the comics onto the big screen. But yeah, those 12 issues, great. The 2001 to 2004 series, issues 1 to 37. One thing that I quickly realized was that like the Punisher doesn't really, within that series anyways, within those 37 issues, there's not a lot of like super long arcs. Like a lot of these are just like 2 to 3 issues or even like one-shot stories, you know? Like there's not a lot of overlap between issue to issue. Like there's not a lot of like to be continues, if you will. Like for example, this issue, Punisher is handcuffed to, I believe, a police detective that he has to like kind of like work around with as he's doing his normal like Punisher things. It's pretty funny, pretty hilarious. But yeah, overall, like the series kind of does just like jump around between like Frank's little adventures, and it's fun, it's cool. And then he does have another series after this. It is the Punisher Max series, but it's like full violence, full blood and gore, I'm pretty sure. So it's not on the Marvel Unlimited app. So I went out of my way and I bought them at a local toy store, Milo's Toys. He had them there, but I didn't know if it was on the Marvel app. So after I read it, I quickly went back there and I bought those trades because I was like, I need to make sure that I have those. So when I do go back into the Punisher, I have those to read whenever I can. So instead, I went through this sort of Marvel Unlimited catalog, and I went to Greg Rucka and Marco Checchetto. So I love Marco Cecchetto's work on Ultimate Spider-Man. I think that he's one of the best working artists at Marvel. He kind of is like their Dan Mora, if you will. He just makes such great art, and this was like one of his first big books. I found this freaking back issue at Fourth World Comics again, and I read all 13 issues alongside Warzone 1 to 5, so totaling out to like 18 issues, I believe. So you know, it's not that long of a run, but also this series introduces I forget her name, but she might be the character that Sadie Six is playing. I forget. Within the upcoming Spider-Man movie, that's like one of the rumored characters that she might be playing, or it is probably likely Jean Grey. But anyways, I wanted to see what that character's backstory was, because she kind of is like a Punisher in training, because she goes through a horrific experience just like Frank did. This book is written very differently though, because we don't really get a lot of inner monologue with Frank. It's very much about like how Frank's actions affect other people, and we get to see their conversations and their inner thoughts on it. So it's definitely a very different Punisher run. I think if I read this instead of going to Garth Ennis first, I definitely would have been turned off by it. But I'm so glad that I have the knowledge of Frank Castle and the Punisher as a character before I dove into this, because it definitely is like a much different book and a much different story for the Punisher. It's definitely still cool. You know, I wish Marvel kept like the freaking trade paperbacks in print a lot more. Maybe they will make a Greg Rucka Punisher omnibus one day. I don't know, but you know, a lot of those trades are just super duper hard to find. But I'm glad I found one of the Marco Cecchetto back issues at my local comic book store. Okay, so after The Punisher, I was like, what should I read next? And I was kind of reading this series in between Greg Rucka's run on The Punisher, and that is The Immortal Iron Fist by Matt Fraction and Ed Brubaker. And then I think they bring on another writer halfway through. I think they are both off of the book at some point. But yeah, I read all of the issues 1 to 27, and also a couple of the annuals and one-shots that were released in between there. And these two collections I literally just got recently on eBay because I got like a pretty good deal on it, and I really like the series that much. You know, my only exposure to Iron Fist is through the Netflix series. So the fact that I was able to dive into these and really actually get a true understanding of the Iron Fist character, of like the legacy of the Iron Fist and sort of like the history behind it, you know, because some issues they might go back to like a different version of the Iron Fist that might have a lesson or a thing that they learned that will pertain to what Danny is going through right now. And it is just a lot of fun. I really like the way that Ed Brubaker and Matt Fraction worked together on this book, and also the art by freaking what's his name, Aja. He's just fantastic. I definitely need to read Matt Fraction's run on Hawkeye because I believe he also worked with Aja on that book as well. But yeah, I'm so happy that I have these within my collection, because this volume 2, it has Immortal Weapons 1 to 5, which is written by Jason Aaron, which I did not read. So I definitely have that physically now, so I could just pop into that and read it, because I think that is like sort of the back half, or maybe like the epilogue of this Iron Fist series. But yeah, you know, good stuff. I definitely wish that Marvel kept these in print and I didn't have to go out of my way on eBay to like look for these. But yeah, very, very happy to own them within my collection. And also, if you want to read a Iron Fist book, this is definitely one that you should check out. Okay, last thing on the Marvel Unlimited app that I read. I don't have anything for it physically yet, but it is The Defenders by Brian Michael Bendis and David Marquez, I believe. His art is amazing. I really like the way that he drew all of the Defenders. But this was, I believe, the last book that Brian Michael Bendis did for Marvel before he signed on that exclusive deal to write for DC. So the book is very, very weird. There's only 10 issues, and they kind of had to end it abruptly because it looked like that they were setting some other stuff up. But then, you know, Brian Michael Bendis got that deal at DC. So then it was like, well, shoot, we got to like wrap it up real quick. Honestly, it was a lot of fun for like 10 issues that honestly lead to like not a lot of stuff or like anything really concrete or like that high stakes. It's just a fun book featuring Jessica Jones, Daredevil, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist. You could just go right into it and you could see like what the status quo is between those 4 characters. Jessica and Luke Cage are married. I believe they do have their daughter Daniela. Daredevil hasn't revealed his identity to the other Defenders, so they're kind of questioning like, who are you? Can we really trust you? And then Danny Rand, Iron Fist, is kind of just, he's there, you know, he has his Heroes for Hire gig with Luke Cage, and you know, a certain villain comes back into play to sort of mess up their day, and they have to work together to stop him before more lives get hurt. So it's a lot of fun. I wish that Brian Michael Bendis got to flesh the story out more, because I think that he is one of my favorite writers for Marvel characters anyways, because I did try to read his run on Superman back when it came out years and years ago, and I was just like, I'm not into it. But also, I just wasn't into Superman back then, so maybe I got to give it another try. But yeah, that's everything that I read within April. Like I said, I definitely didn't think it was going to be a lot, and then Marvel Unlimited happened. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys want more videos like this, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe for new videos whenever I can. I am mostly a gaming YouTuber on TV Sonic Gaming. You can also check out my social media, same at TV Sonic Gaming. Check out my podcast called The Travis and Damien Podcast, about games and pop culture, every other week. And yeah, that's all I have for today. Thank you guys for watching this video once again. Now, see you guys next time with more videos.